Hey, welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I want to remind you guys, we do have debate coverage going on tomorrow. Stephen, what time does that start? I don't even know. Look,
6:30, so your show's only going to be 30 minutes tomorrow.
That's right. They're cutting me short. They're censoring me. Blaze TV is censoring me in order to come to you with the pre-show for the first presidential debate. That is 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. As he mentioned, it will be on Blaze TV as well as streaming live on YouTube. We're going to be giving you coverage throughout the night. I still don't understand exactly what it is that we're doing, but it's going to be fun. And I'm going to be there. So make sure to tune in.
Just a reminder, Sarah, that we're not playing any of the debate.
Yeah, I know, but we're going to be on. And we're going to be live chatting. Yeah. I'm told we're going to be live chatting in the stream, in the Blaze TV stream. Okay. So what I said was not incorrect. Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure they understood.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen.
You did a great job.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. So make sure that you tune in for that. So I want to get into all the news today. So first of all, in what I would call a stunning blow to the First Amendment, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that the state attorneys general from both Missouri and Louisiana lacked standing for the legal challenge that they presented, giving the Biden regime a pass to coerce and coordinate with social media companies to basically censor conservatives, because we all know the Biden regime is not going to censor leftists. So this particular case was Murphy versus Missouri. This stemmed from a lawsuit brought by the state AGs that accused high-ranking government officials of working with social media companies, of course, under the guise of combating mis and disinformation, which we all know ultimately led to censoring speech on topics that included Hunter Biden's laptop over there in October of 2020, right before an election, COVID-19 origins, and of course the efficacy of both face masks and the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals had actually sided with the plaintiffs. So they had sided, they were with Missouri. They were on the side of the First Amendment, at which point the Justice Department argued that the temporary ban of this particular public-private partnership, keep that keyword in your mind. They said that this temporary ban would cause irreparable harm because it may prevent the federal government from working with social media companies on initiatives to prevent grave harm to the American people and our democratic processes. And so SCOTUS, of course, indirectly agreed by reversing the Fifth Circuit's decision. Only Justices Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch dissented. Now, I want to read a little bit of this majority opinion here, and then I want to bring in our panel to give their analysis on this. So according to the majority, the plaintiffs, they say, did not show a direct link between injuries and government conduct. They said review of extensive government social media communications is outside the court's scope, and they also claimed that allegations of past censorship are somehow not enough to prove future censorship, and that injuries claimed by plaintiffs are indirect and anticipatory. So Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote this final opinion, the majority opinion. She said, the plaintiffs, without any concrete link between their injuries and the defendant's conduct, ask us to conduct a review of the years-long communications between dozens of federal officials across different agencies with different social media platforms about different topics. This court's standing doctrine prevents us from, quote, exercising such general legal oversight, end quote, of the other branches of government. We therefore reverse the judgment of the Fifth Circuit and remand the case for further proceedings consistent with this opinion. She also added the plaintiffs' claim standing based on the direct censorship of their own speech, as well as their right to listen to others who faced social media censorship, and that notably both theories depend on the platform's actions. Yet the plaintiffs do not seek to enjoin the platforms from restricting any posts or accounts. They seek to enjoin government agencies and officials from pressuring or encouraging the platforms to suppress protected speech in the future, and that alleged injuries were of a one-step removed anticipatory nature, which I don't know. I can't wait to get my panel's opinion, because to me, I'm just like, so basically you're arguing that this is so pervasive that you somehow can't police it, I guess. It's happening so often, so much, that you can't police it and you can't say, hey, they've been doing it for 4 years. Maybe we should assume that they're going to continue doing it, I guess. So in the dissenting opinion, let me read a couple of these. Alito wrote this. He argued, if the lower court's assessment of the voluminous record is correct, this is one of the most important free speech cases to reach this court in years. I would agree with that. For months, high-ranking government officials placed unrelenting pressure on Facebook to suppress Americans' free speech. Because the court unjustifiably refuses to address this serious threat to the First Amendment, I respectfully dissent. He also went on to warn that the failure to address coercive censorship could set a very dangerous precedent, and that subtle coercion by government officials is equally as harmful as overt censorship. Now, I would say, personally, this is not really the decision that you want walking into an election as a conservative, where like all but one of the social media platforms very much want to censor your opinion. And even that last one, by the way, the platform formerly known as Twitter, I still have questions and major concerns about. I want to welcome to the show Jason Buttrell, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program, along with John Doyle, Blaze TV contributor and host of Heck Off Commie. Look, I get it that it's the analysis is like, well, you just lack the standing to even bring this case forth. But the reasons that they argue that these plaintiffs lack standing just seem to be the most convoluted, bogus reasons, in my opinion. How can you not say that past actions are not proof of future, the Biden regime has a very clear record of pressuring social media companies, big tech platforms to censor conservatives. Like, this is very well documented for years. And they're like, oh, I mean, you can't prove that they're going to continue. I mean, they've been doing it this whole time, but you can't prove that they're going to continue to do it. It's just bizarre to me. But either way, this feels like a very dark day in America. And I don't say that trying to be like exaggeratory at all.
This is Roe v. Wade decision-esque, as far as dark days for our country. And we'll go into that more about what exactly this means. But this pisses me off in so many different ways. For one, Amy Coney Barrett can shut the hell up. That's A. B, she keeps on talking about the Fifth Circuit this, the Fifth Circuit that. I think there's some nerds justice slap fighting going on, because I think most of them hate the Fifth Circuit, mostly because there's a Trump judge within the Fifth Circuit that is approving some of these cases, legit cases, and they're getting sent up to the Supreme Court. Why? Because they're pissing off the left is what it's doing. So I think they hate him, and they don't give a shit what this actually means for the country, because they're slap fighting is what they're doing. Arguing standing is like, it's everything we hate about the justice system, especially like a sleazy lawyer that's like, I'm going to get my client off because the cop said, this word instead of here when he was reading the Miranda rights. You know what I mean? Like, we know, he's guilty. Right. It's all bullcrap. There was the intention there. If you argue standing, basically what it means in my limited, where's Josh Hammer when you need him? But in my limited knowledge is basically they're saying, oh, well, the people that brought forth this case, they don't have they didn't show us that they were damaged by this personally, or that they will in the future.
Right.
Who gives a crap?
Right.
Like, what we're talking about the issue.
How can you not argue that every single American was not damaged by the fact that they were able to censor Hunter Biden's laptop right before the 2020 presidential election?
Right. And then
how can you not make the argument that every single person in this country was damaged by that?
Exactly. And you can tell Alito and Thomas are they're saying exactly the same thing. This is one of the most important cases that we're looking at right now, and you're blowing it away on something procedural?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But right now, what that means is that going forward is the government, whatever regime is there, whether it's for us or whether they're anti-us, they can just go to screw it. They can go to a media company if they wanted to. Go to Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and just say, we don't agree with that. We're going to label it misinformation. Go ahead and take it down now. Right. That is not the United States.
No.
That is taking the Constitution and just tearing it right in half. That's what it is.
And this is, of course, we're consistent here on this show and also the prior show here in the sense that even in 2020, 2021, 2022, they roll out these vaccines and we're this isn't when the government is going to these private companies and saying, hey, we really, really highly suggest that you create a vaccine mandate for your employees. Like that's not freedom. That's not the freedom of private companies to make their own decisions. If the government is pressuring them, obviously you've got these companies who are going to go like, oh shit, I don't want to be in trouble with the Biden administration. Of course I'm going to do what they're telling me to because they're the freaking federal government. You obviously have that hanging over your head. And so the argument that like government should just be able to, maintain this public-private partnership, I'm going to use that as many times as possible because that's one of the major issues here is these convoluted, blurred lines between what is actually considered government and what is actually considered a private company. But you have these blurred lines, and then all of a sudden, now we're supposed to believe that it's okay for the government to coerce and pressure and intimidate. I mean, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
How do you say what's intimidation and what's not?
Yeah, I remember, well, I don't remember, but I know that the discussion has been had for decades about the difference between, the private company and the state. And so long as the company is private, it's technically separate from the state. And so there is some degree of maybe independence there. But I think what we found out is that there's a more ideological tyranny that we're experiencing where all of these groups maybe don't have explicitly the same interest, but their interests are not exactly competing, which was the importance of something like checks and balances. It was the idea that these different institutions would have competing interests and would therefore have a natural incentive beyond something just written down to check each other's power and the expansion of that. But as these people have become all on the same page, it doesn't matter if you're working for independent CNN or for the literal DOJ or something, like you all have the same interest, which is going against American patriots. And I remember even when I got started trying to articulate that something like guaranteeing First Amendment access on social media is like a good idea. And I used to have to like deal with these sort of conservatarian types and they'd be like, well, no, because the government shouldn't get involved in a private corporation, blah, blah, blah. And I remember saying like, how is it ever bad to travel along the vector of like guaranteeing your rights? That's what the government is supposed to do. It's supposed to prevent your rights from being infringed upon. And
it's their only job.
Yeah, like literally the only thing that they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so I'm very skeptical of this happening, of course, before the election, because I mean, you saw the RCP model came out, I think maybe in the last 24 hours or so. They're saying it's 2-1, Trump wins. The polls are what they are. I mean, all of these sort of elite types seem to be breaking away. They're looking for an off-ramp. The Winklevoss twins just gave like $15 million or something. So people are sort of seeing to Trump.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So people are sort of seeing the writing on the walls and they're sort of like needing some way to get out of whatever the Biden regime is doing, because obviously these people can't govern. They don't even advertise a higher material standard of living anymore. I mean, all of their campaign is just abortion matters and also democracy matters and all these other things, which honestly, if I had to put my tinfoil hat on, I would be a little weary of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Not because I don't support it, but because it seems interesting. Okay, we're going to use our political capital to do that then. But then, okay, we get these justices. The only metric for appointing them is they're pro-life. They're going to be pro-life. Well, then how do they rule in a situation like this, where obviously Americans need to be able to talk about these issues, but then Kavanaugh and Barrett, they're nowhere to be found. So I would like us to just have a sort of led model of maybe like Clarence Thomas or Alito, and that is the metric by which we evaluate future justices, not like some ideological thing, but like, are they going to meet this level? Because Alito's rarely missed. Clarence Thomas has probably never missed.
Yeah.
And so these are the shoes that need to be filled, because these people obviously can't be trusted to make decisions that actually benefit their base, let alone the American public.
Who trusts the American justice system anymore? It doesn't matter at what level, whether you're at the Supreme Court on down to all the other courts. I mean, Alex, look at the headlines. Like Alex Jones being forced to liquidate everything he has.
Okay, yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
And this was just greenlit by a judge.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead and do it. The DOJ and FBI going after grandmas for praying in front of abortion clinics. Let's go get them. Never mind, like the 50 suspected ISIS terrorists that are in the country right now. They're not rounding them up. You don't have DOJ officials saying, I promise in shock and awe, like they did in January 6th. There's clearly justice is not blind. There's clearly, an agenda they're marching towards, and they don't give a crap about the other.
No.
There's absolutely no trust. District attorneys, attorney generals, all the way up and down the line. Trump getting 30? How many? Was 34?
Yeah.
Just
for that one.
I mean, that was considered
91 indictments.
That was considered the weakest case of the entire lot. It was so weak, no one would take it up. And then all of us were like, this is dumb, this is stupid. They deliberate for like 30 minutes and it's done. No, I have no trust in the DOJ, in the justice system in this country.
In the justice system
Absolutely.
at all. Moving on up to SCOTUS, who, by the way, I mean, let it not be lost on you that 2 years ago we had this Roe versus Wade overturning. The Dobbs decision was leaked, remember? And they never found the leaker. And it was like in my opinion, one of the biggest deals of any of the justice system ever, because it's like, you guys have to figure out who this is. They claim they investigated it. They couldn't figure out who it was. And then today we hear that a document was inadvertently and briefly uploaded to the Supreme Court's website showing an opinion in the Idaho abortion case, where the Supreme Court appears to side with the Biden administration in this abortion case. According to this draft that was briefly posted on the website, what it showed was a 6-3 decision to allow emergency abortions to take place in Idaho on a temporary basis while the case continues. But like, who is doing this?
Sotomayor. Allegedly.
I completely agree with you, but it's like, but who is she co-opting that is going and inadvertently uploading it to the website for people to see and then like, oopsies, we didn't mean to do that, and then taking it down? So, I mean, if you can't trust, I should say, not only can you not trust the process to play out fairly in the event that you have, a Soros-backed judge or whatever who's just out to get you because you're a conservative or you're Donald Trump, but also you've got these leakers who want to just completely subvert protocol and just leak things so that they can, I don't know, like, I don't know what the point of that is, other than to sow more distrust of the American people for the justice system. I don't know why else you do that.
I mean, you think about the staff that works underneath all these justices. Where do they come from? Probably 99% of them from places like Harvard, Columbia,
right,
places like that. I mean, they're complete activists.
Yeah.
They're there probably because they want to be activists and they want to turn the justice system into an activist, stronghold.
Right.
That's why they're there. I mean, this is only going to get worse. I mean, sorry to backtrack back to the First Amendment case, but I mean, this is how bad it was. And I think a lot of people don't really know how bad it was. But if you read Michael Schellenberger's work, he's been amazing on this. He's still, it seems like we're always trying to get him as a guest. He's like always testifying in front of Congress. Yeah. He's hard to get. But he blew this thing open. The Department of Homeland Security was using CISA, and they were using, you mentioned public-private partnership earlier. They were using private companies. They were telling the private companies, they'd put them in charge. So there's like a degree of separation.
Right.
And they'd be like, this is what you do. Stop the election denying. They give them a list of things that they said would claim was misinformation. Then those middlemen would then pressure groups like X, Facebook, all those places. And then eventually you get into like areas where they're like, strong arming their advertising, making sure that they don't get money. I mean, it was very serious. But the craziest thing was one of these middlemen were former military and intelligence contractors that did work in the Middle East and other places. Wow. And they talked about using things like something called cognitive security. So basically what that is not only were they targeting the misinformation, they were injecting propaganda to change the way people think. It's psychological warfare that they employed on our enemies. Mm-hmm. And one of his whistleblowers actually said, I couldn't believe that we were doing the same things to the American people that we had been trained to do to our enemies overseas.
Yeah.
That's what was happening. And that's what just was allowed to continue to go on today.
That's incredible.
Freaking insane, man.
Okay, so before we take a break, I do want to bring up, we talked yesterday briefly about Julian Assange and his plea deal with the American government. They're going to account for time served, and he pleading guilty, obviously. And Jason, you mentioned something to me off air about, it's funny that you said this to me because we had this discussion on air, and then off air, I was talking with my guest yesterday, and I was just like, the timing of this feels really strange. Like, it's almost like there was some sort of condition of like, I'm not going to rat on you guys if you guys do this plea deal, like there was something at play. And Jason, you pointed out earlier today that the WikiLeaks, the DNC website, all of the leaks for that is actually now, it's just down. You go to it and it says internal server error. And now you can't find any of the DNC leaks.
Dude.
I was like, I literally was just talking about this yesterday of just like, this feels very strange. Like, was this part of the condition of his plea deal was like, hey, don't go after us and we'll give you whatever you want and you won't have to serve any jail time? I certainly wouldn't put it past this administration.
No. I mean, I wouldn't put it past WikiLeaks. So I've never considered they're not like a journalism organization. They're more like hacktivists, in my opinion. They didn't operate as journalists. Like, they would give away sources. They would just release blanket information, and, they would out even journalists in other countries that were collaborating with them. They would just out them. So they didn't operate in the normal journalism rules. Assange was even collaborating actively with Reality Winner to help her get the information out, which obviously that's illegal. But I'm curious, since they're not actual journalists, what they did agree to do with the government. So it appears that one of the stipulations was taking down the DNC leaks. The Hillary Clinton emails are still there, which is weird. But the DNC leaks...
I don't care about Hillary Clinton.
They don't care. She's damaged goods at this point.
Yeah.
But what else was on the table there?
Right.
Sources?
Right.
Methods?
Right.
Promises not to do certain things? Mm-hmm.
Or to do certain things.
WikiLeaks needs to respond to this and fast, which they have not so far. Multiple people, we've reached out to them. They did not give us an answer. This is something that you think that they didn't do or it was an accident. They would immediately get out and get in front of it. They're not getting out in front of it.
Yeah.
Looks very, very guilty.
Even more suspect.
And that just damages your credibility forever. I'm surprised no one's talking about this.
We are.
We are. But there's a few random people like on X pointed that out. We're like, is that true? We checked it out, reached out to them, but no media organizations talking about it.
Yeah. Well, they all are lapdogs of the DNC. So, John, last word.
That's true. That's a good point.
Wow. Insightful, John.
You said last word.
I never thought about it that way, John.
There's ego in having to give my own take. Sometimes I can just appreciate,
Yeah, you just give the credit back to me. Exactly. I appreciate that, John. All right, we've got more to come including, I can't wait to talk about Jamaal Bowman. Ooh, moment of silence. Okay, that's enough. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So those of you who are living in constant pain, you may think this is just my life now. It doesn't have to be that way. Jason has tried Relief Factor because he was in the military and he's really old.
True.
So when my mom's going to be mad at me for insulting Jason. I'm sorry, Mom. It was just a joke. I love Jason too. Okay. But his knees were all messed up from running and all the crazy stuff that you did in the military. Took Relief Factor. It worked for him. He was able to run again outside.
Yeah.
Able to run again outside, which he had not been able to do. I have a bunch of herniated and protruding discs from a car accident a long time ago that just caused me pain.
No, because she's old as well.
Shut up, Jason. Because I'm old as well. And so it was causing me pain. And I was like, I'm tired of this. Let's try Relief Factor. It worked for me. It worked for Jason. It worked for so many people in this building. So if you've got, tennis elbow, arthritis, back problems, knee problems, neck problems, whatever the case may be, it's probably inflammation that's causing your problem. And if you get this, it's an all-natural, very potent anti-inflammatory. It can actually reduce or completely eliminate your pain, and that can be life-changing for you. So go to their website, get their 3-week quick start. It is only $19.95. It comes with their feel better or your money back guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose except your pain. You can go to relieffactor.com to go get that quick start pack. That is relieffactor.com. Oh, the world's smallest violin playing for New York Representative Jamaal Bowman, who lost his Democrat primary to George Latimer. This was the first defeat for a member of the House squad. Remember, he was an honorary. I thought that it was all women that were part of the squad, but I guess he was an honorary member of the squad, because what is a woman really? We don't know how Jamaal Bowman actually identified. And I want to play Jamaal Bowman's concession speech, in which he blamed the far right over in New York, I guess, in his district. I had no idea there were so many far right members over in the 16th congressional district in New York. Here is some of his concession speech last night. Watch.
We should not be well adjusted to a sick society. We should be outraged. We should be outraged when a super PAC of dark money can spend $20 million to brainwash people into believing something that isn't true. We should be outraged about that. We should be outraged when, unfortunately, some so-called Democrats are aligning themselves with radical, racist, right-wing Republicans. We should be outraged about that.
Radical racist.
Radical, racist, right-wing Republicans. How's that for alliteration? So obviously he is, alluding to AIPAC. They had record campaign spending in this. And of course, the argument was that Jamaal Bowman's opposition to Israel's war in Gaza and combative style were out of step with the electorate. And apparently they were correct because it wasn't even close. And I'm just saying, it couldn't happen to a more deserving squad member.
I blame AOC. I really do. Like, she did not bring the fire like she could have. I mean, she came out and she was dancing around, twirling and like all that stuff, but she could have just brought a little more fire, I believe, and that would have turned the entire tide.
Right. Yeah. She didn't yell loud enough.
Yes.
So I'm just like, honey, that's what the microphone in front of you is for. You don't actually have to yell. That's what this is designed for. You can just speak normally and people can hear you. But, her brain is very small.
And then she put out that tweet too with that video saying that Fox News is big mad about blah, blah, blah. And it's like, one, Fox News, why are you still shadowboxing with Fox News? Like, that is not a relevant enemy for you anymore, frankly. And then two, big mad. From Detroit, I have never heard a black person say big mad once in my life. That is what like white theater kids think black people speak like. And so they say that. And so
true.
And like to see that is like very cringe. And then she too, I want to find a woman who looks at me the way that she was looking at Jamaal Bowman. I mean, there's that picture of her next to him. She's like staring up at him and I've never seen her look at her boyfriend that way.
Yeah. Husband now, I think, right? Fiance, something. I don't know.
Look, after this, who knows? It's all up in the air. But
I love that you mentioned that because whenever she had that, whatever the congressional hearing was where she and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jasmine Crockett were going at it. And you hear AOC at one point go, baby girl. And you're like, literally nobody talks like that.
These people are theater kids. And I have to hear all day online because I coined this term and I'm very proud of it because some very smart people who I respect are now using this. Theater kid occupied government. That is what we are living under. And then I get people and they're just like, no, it's the Zionist occupied government. If I look at it through that lens, then why is she still in office? She's on Twitter picking fights with AIPAC, but she wins her election and then Jamaal Bowman does. So that doesn't compute. But I look at Bowman, I look at AOC, these are both theater kids. And I'm like, okay, this makes more sense to me as to like what's going on. These people are all just these like little theater kids who want to LARP their West Wing or their Veep fantasy. And that is what this all is to them. But fundamentally, like they are just weird and off-putting and people don't like them.
Yeah.
I love it when he mentions dark money. I mean, come on.
Dark money means whatever you want it to mean these days.
When George Soros is your mascot and you're talking about the evil dark money that lost your little election.
Right.
Dude, shut up.
Yeah.
Democracy Alliance. I think that's the one that funnels all that. And the Tides Foundation. And they're some of the biggest names in dark money. You have the whole reason for the Tides Foundation is so that all these like crazy, radical, far, far left groups can give money to a specific cause, but they don't want their name on the books. And the whole Democratic Party doesn't want their name on the books, so it looks crazy. So they're like, well, don't give it to this PAC, where it has to be reported. Give it to the Tides. And the Tides Foundation gets the money, and they can shoot it off to wherever the hell they want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, dark money.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dark money has just been co-opted to just be used against people's opponents to mean whatever they want it to mean. It doesn't mean anything anymore. Okay, a couple other notes here from last night. Lauren Boebert won re-election after, recall the last election, she just barely won in her district and then was subsequently redistricted. So she won handily. It was not a problem. And then when we are, just while we're on the topic of Capitol Hill, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna.
Love her.
I was waiting for you to say something about that.
She can do no wrong.
Nice. So
call me.
I was going to say you recall. I imagine that Jason tuned in whenever she was on my show.
Of course.
Not that long ago. But we talked about Merrick Garland, holding him in contempt, and how they would, how there was a path to actually arrest him over his refusal to hand over Biden's special counsel tapes. And so she is still saying that she is going to push Congress to vote on whether or not to arrest Merrick Garland. And she says that she's going to call for a vote of a inherent contempt resolution.
Oh, that's what she
in
invoked.
the next few
Wow.
days. And so what that means is that they could actually direct the sergeant at arms to arrest him.
Outside the DOJ. You sidestep the DOJ.
Yes, correct. So it's a completely separate mechanism for that. So here is Anna Paulina Luna discussing that. Watch.
It's important to note that when an individual is called before courts across the country, they appear. Why should the Attorney General, who is supposed to be head of all law enforcement authorities, any different? Garland still has time to comply with this request. We are asking that he bring the tapes to the House and let us listen to them. But in the event that he does not, we will press forward with calling the privilege motion on inherent contempt to the floor on Friday morning. It is also important to note that if we as a Congress do not have the ability to enforce our investigative ability, that we are essentially going to be ignored and undercut and essentially handicapped by all other branches, which would make us not a co-equal branch of government.
I mean, listen, Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro would like a word that being held in contempt of Congress, you just get to do that and nothing happens. Just saying. Jason?
She looked amazing.
How did I know you?
What was that about again?
What did she say? I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear words.
In all seriousness, I think that it has no chance in hell of going anywhere because they're just going to invoke executive privilege and no one will ever hear that.
But you have to admire.
That was my second part to that. I definitely think this is the right strategy.
Yeah.
Push lawfare as far as you can possibly take it because that's what they're doing. So you put it right back at them, make it go all the way to the Supreme Court, have that be argued in front of the entire country. Whatever, it'll probably get shut down because of executive privilege, but screw it. You have to try.
Yeah, John.
She did look great. It was a great statement. Because look, the thing is, I mean, one of her staffers probably wrote that statement. It took him like 10 minutes. How many minutes did she put into her appearance? I mean, really, what should we be drawing attention to and appreciating? I mean,
John, how dare you? She wakes up looking that way.
Yeah, this is why she likes him. And she's jealous. That's the problem.
I'm not jealous.
Like,
I
why
love
are other
her.
women
She's a
being
friend? I'm not jealous. I'm just saying there's more to her than her beauty. Okay, that's all.
I said she reads the statements written by her staffers. Well, I said that. I mean, what was the problem?
She has a lot of intelligent thoughts of her own.
I agree. No, but again, no one loves women and respects women more than me,
you.
except Donald Trump. But I do think it's important to emphasize the fact that all of our enemies are disgusting fat theater kids, and all of our friends. I mean, like. There's a biological component to the political divide, and those people are gross and fat, and we are not, and it's worth drawing attention to.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we will be back with more. I want to talk about, we'll give a little preview to the debate tomorrow. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Flying Ace Spirits. So here is all I can tell you. Do you like whiskey? Mm-hmm. Great. Do you also like helping the spouses and children of America's fallen or disabled in combat?
Absolutely.
Great. So I've got the deal for you, okay? Folds of Honor and Flying Ace Spirits are teaming up to provide. So Folds of Honor has been providing these scholarships to spouses and children of America's fallen or disabled in combat for a very long time now. They've awarded like 51,000 scholarships, more than $200 million. And Flying Ace Spirits is teaming up with them to provide 4 scholarships to some of these people. They're awarded quarterly, and so they need your help. So if you can donate, please help them. But look, you can just donate money and just be like, I'm donating, or you can just go buy whiskey and your money is going to help all of these people. That's the mechanism that I would suggest that you do, because this is awesome whiskey and you can be supporting a good cause. So you can go to flyingacespirits.com, use promo code unfiltered, and you will get free shipping on every order. That is flyingacespirits.com, promo code unfiltered. As I mentioned earlier in the program, we will be having debate coverage tomorrow night. It starts at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Make sure to tune in. It should be a fun time. I keep waiting for Joe Biden to pull out. Like, I still can't believe that this is a thing that's actually happening. But apparently it is. Now, Donald Trump has floated the idea, either seriously or just jokingly, I'm not sure, of drug testing before the debate. He says, I will submit to a drug test before the debate. I think we both should submit to a drug test before the debate, because we all know that Joe Biden's going to be hopped up on God knows what they're injecting him with. And Biden campaign spokeswoman Adrienne Elrod said that they're not going to commit to a drug test before the debate. Watch.
President Trump asking President Biden for a drug test going into Thursday night. What's your reaction?
I mean, I don't even really know what to say about that. I worked on Hillary Clinton's campaign. You know, she also debated him very effectively. He accused her of being on drugs.
Okay, but the Joe Biden that we see when he's on the debate stage or giving the State of the Union is clearly a very different Joe Biden than we see every single day, shuffling his way to Air Force One, falling up the steps, and not being able to take questions and speak coherently. So, saying.
Hillary Clinton can, at least, you watch her just in day-to-day interviews, and she's fine. Mm-hmm. She's a ghoul, you know, but she's
an evil bitch, but she can speak.
Right.
Nasty woman.
Thank you, yes.
But Joe, clearly, whether he's just talking to the White House press pool whenever he's allowed to ask certain questions, or just anytime it's impromptu, he looks awful. Mm-hmm. Can hardly say anything. But then if it's the State of the Union, or if it's a debate in the last election or tomorrow night, he looks completely different. Completely. So I'm sure they're absolutely not going to allow that, because I'm not thinking it's anything hardcore, but I wouldn't doubt it at all if they gave him like a steroid shot or something like that. Just anything.
You think that's all they're giving him?
I don't know. Something. It's clearly something. Why wouldn't you put this to bed? Why wouldn't you say, like, why even allow, just like that, what she just said, right. You're allowing conspiracy theory, right, which is the last thing you want to do.
Right.
So just put it to bed. Say, yeah, this is dumb, you know, but we'll entertain it because we think it's funny.
Right. Sure,
why not?
Why not? Why not? We have nothing to hide.
Something will be in his bloodstream, and they know it.
1,000,000%. Why else is he at Camp David all week?
We know it too. We've had our R&D over at Blaze Media trying to ascertain the best chemical mimic to whatever they are going to give him. And so I'm looking forward tomorrow. We're actually doing our own power hour. I'm hosting it because I never get invited to the other ones.
What?
And yeah, so you guys do your little power hours. Ooh, we're drinking. I'm doing something new, which is whatever the president is going to be doing. And we're all going to get hyped up on that. And then we're going to cover the debate and we're going to do it properly. So you can check that out tomorrow.
It's not happening.
Yes, it was.
One injection every 60 seconds.
When the content, when the director,
we're gonna be dead.
When the director of programming told me to get out of her office when I pitched that to her, it was because she wanted to take credit for it and was going to call the CEO and didn't want me to be there. Which I get it. I'm a young guy. I'll climb the ladder and I'll bide my time. The point being, 4 years ago it was close between Biden and Trump when they did their debates. Now it's not even, you look at the way that he even fields questions, which are friendly to him. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? He doesn't even know what ice cream is. He just says, oh, it's in my hand. I guess I'll eat it or whatever. He hasn't had to contend with a force who is actively hostile to him, more so one whose best strategy is to be hostile to him.
Do you think so?
What do you mean?
Do you think that's his best strategy, to be hostile to him?
Not hostile in the sense that he's bullying an old man. The optics of that are probably not good.
That's the impression I got at the first debate last time. And I thought he lost independence that way.
I think that if he can create situations where Biden is stumbling over his own words to answer tough questions, people will say, there's no answer to this. Moreover, even if there were an answer that were prepared, maybe not accurate, he can't even get it out. Trump, he's an old guy, but he's not at Biden level. Maybe he'll never get there. But I think that normal people tuning into that debate, when they see that their commander-in-chief can't speak for his own record, literally because the record is bad, but also because he can't even form coherent sentences, at that point it's like, how can you still, maybe you don't vote for Trump necessarily, but how can you still endorse Biden with your vote at that point?
It seems like Glenn this morning on his radio show addressed this, and he said that he thought that there should be no debate at all. Like, Trump should have the mentality of, don't debate him. Like, just refuse to debate him. Just talk about exactly what is destroying the country right now. So every time it's on you, economy, crime, immigration. Just keep pounding that, looking straight at the camera and connecting with Americans that are suffering from this. And I think that would actually be a pretty damn good strategy. You can't lose off that.
But to me, it's hard to envision him losing at all unless he just goes hard in the paint of just like, you're an old doddering fool who can't, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you lose people at that point. But Joe Biden's record is so bad. Right. It's just like, it's Donald Trump's to lose.
You could even frame it like, with respect to your career in public service or whatever, you've done a great job representing Delaware, but look at the last 4 years. I mean, what is it? The average, I think income to be able to afford a home is up 60%. It was something like 60,000. Now it's upwards of six figures now. I mean, the average quality of life, the median quality of life, it's all down. There's no metric by which to suggest that things are better. So it's not like a personal, oh, you're like a vegetable. It's respectful, but obviously you can't be the guy anymore.
Right.
Like, that would be an effective way to do it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's being handed to you on a silver platter. So it's yours to lose if you want to go a different way. But certainly this should be an easy slam dunk if you just talk about his terrible record.
His debates with Hillary Clinton were so perfect because he wasn't setting out to be combative. Hillary Clinton was just saying these things and he would go, yeah, because you'd be in jail. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he just had these quick little one-liners. But his first debate with Biden, he was actively going after him.
Yeah.
It was like, it was hardcore. It was all true.
Yeah.
But you get people, that are kind of whiny that, like independents that are like.
Dude, I saw Steve Deace, fellow Bailey. I know we got to go to break, but I saw him tweet out something that said that Donald Trump is underwater with independents in Wisconsin. And I was just like, why? I don't, what are they smoking in Wisconsin that he's underwater with independents? Like, why? I don't get it. I don't understand it at all.
I don't know if that's totally accurate. Everyone's entitled to their analysis, but I think that there's a big incentive right now for people of all areas on the right to try to throw sand in the eyes of the president before the first debate. And hopefully his performance speaks for himself.
Yeah. All right. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back. Well, to both of your points about how great it's going here in this country under the strong leadership of Joe Biden, DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, has identified over 400 illegal immigrants who were brought to the United States from Central Asia and other places by an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling network. And, by the way, Jason alluded to this earlier in the program, more than 50 of them, we don't know where they are. We don't know where they are. More than 150 of them have been arrested, but another 50, we don't know. We don't know. Which, by the way, I'm unclear of this because this says over 500, and more than 150 plus 50 would only be 200. So I don't know whether they don't know. Nobody knows. We don't know.
This is what
it's fine.
It's fine. This is what the FBI director was alluding to before when he was trying to get the FISA stuff, recertified. He kept talking about like this terror-related smuggling organization that was international and was getting people into the United States. I'm assuming he's talking about this with ISIS affiliation. At this point, I don't doubt for a second that we have terrorists that have gotten in the country. I don't doubt it. I do tend to doubt it when the FBI is using that to try and get something like FISA reauthorized, because I think they would say anything to get the American people freaked out and scared. I'm taking a weird angle on this, but that this is coming out now, and they're letting it out in pieces, little by little. He went as far as to kind of shut Marco Rubio down when Rubio was pressing him on this, and he goes, "I don't want to go into specifics because it's national. In closed door session we'll talk about it." But then it gets leaked to the media a few weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you doing this because that's what's actually going on? We know there's terrorists in the country. We know they've gotten in, but I don't know. I guess I'm just that's my mind thinking that they literally are setting us up for something. Something is going to happen. I know a terrorist attack is 100%. Going to happen. I know they want more power off of it. I know they want to restrict the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, the entire Bill of Rights, and they'll use whatever crisis that they can that they have available to do that. We are entering into some very dangerous times, both real danger and danger from the federal government. And yeah, that's not a happy thing to kind of go out on, but they've created the perfect storm to seize more power. It's a creation of their own making, this border crisis. We got the Patriot Act after the last big one.
Yep.
What the hell's going to happen now?
Yeah.
Because they're capable of anything.
Well, and you're just talking about terrorist attacks. I would say in that same vein of never let a crisis go to waste, we got the Patriot Act from the last one. What all did they take from us during COVID? Which wasn't a bioterrorism, but like wasn't a direct terrorist attack on American soil. But look at all of the powers that they took. Look at the abuse of power.
They're still trying to get more from the World Health Organization.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, which is what we said at the time was just like, they're never going to take this. They're never going to take it back. They're never going to say, like, oh, never mind. We relinquish the power. They're always just going to use it, hang on to it, and use it to try to seize more.
I think that's why they're so scared that Trump is able to successfully run on the idea of launching the largest mass deportation operation in human history, as he phrases it, because that has been, I forgot who it was specifically, but they described the change in immigration policy in the Hart-Celler Act in '65 as the Kennedy family's greatest gift to the Democrat Party. Because what we've seen is as more of these immigrants come to the country, they just vote for Democrats. Like 70%, or it's actually 90% of legal immigrants vote for Democrats. And, there are guys like Jaco who are, of course, an exception to this, but overwhelmingly what we see is that these people don't want to assimilate. They come and they have their own communities within America, but they're not quite assimilating. And now it's at the point where even asking them to assimilate, speak the language is considered offensive. And just since Biden took office, I think we've had like 3.5 million of these people of adult voting age naturalized. Trump only won in 2016 because of 77,000 votes between 3 states. Like there's going to come a time, maybe in this election, God forbid, or 2028, 2032, where it is impossible for Republicans to win a federal presidential election because of the changing demographics. And it's not like we control a media apparatus that could change these people's minds or public education that could change these people's minds. We're like totally screwed. And that's a very real scenario. And sometimes, as much as I do understand what happened in 2020 with the fortification, I wonder if that's a safer answer to the real problem, which is that we have like tens of millions of people who are not assimilated into American culture, who are in many cases openly hostile to it, who are now living in our communities with us, and they get just as much of a say as you do because we're all Americans, even though your family's been here for 100 years and theirs has been here for 5 years.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's probably like 90% of South America are all left wing.
Yeah,
90%. The only country that is not in South America, but like Cuba, which is another Latin country, but they're fiercely anti, radical left wing. But what a resource that is, where you can just declare open borders and you've got an entire continent that's 90% left wing. Right. You can just switch on whenever you need the votes.
Yeah.
There's already, I think it's like 59% of illegal immigrant households are already involved in the government system in some way, drawing on a major welfare program.
Yep.
59% are getting your tax dollars.
Conflict of interest, I'd say. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I have no idea where this is or when, but this is a really funny video online that I wanted to show of these protesters who were, I guess they were trying to block the highway, but it was like, I don't know what it was. They just failed miserably. Watch. It's string. I want to believe. Look, because she held on to the string. I want to believe that these are climate change activists. And I've talked about this before, but one of my favorite conspiracy theories that someone said was that all of these climate change activists are actually plants by big oil to make everyone hate the climate change activists and be on the side of big oil. And I just think that would be a very good way to do it.
That's not bad.
I know.
These videos bring out a very bad side of me. It makes me very envious of my fellow man. Like I get on my knees and I pray like, God, I've seen what you've done for others. I want that for me. I want to be driving and see a line of these people. I want to make America great again. Make America great again.
I'll leave that there.